Hello everybody, my name is Ratnus, and in this video we've got Fated Mythic Sylvanas Windrunner. I just want to make a video about this, talk about how the fight works in general and on Fated, just for anybody that's interested in doing it or curious about how it works or anything like that. So starts off with you just beating the boss up for a little while. The first Fated ad actually spawns fairly early here, and we wanted to activate this instantly because we were using Bloodlust on pull. And then we activate this thing instantly and actually grip that chaotic essence under the boss as well, because the motes will spawn from around the essence, not the first two. I mean, the first two will also spawn from it, but then you can make it so that the future ones all spawn right on there. And you can see we get a tremendous amount of motes here. We have a Warlock casting Implosion, two other Warlocks casting Rain of Fire, a Windwalker casting Spinning Crane Kick, and we get well above the 40 kills of motes that is the maximum that give you stacks. And so now for the rest of the lust here, we have a huge damage buff as well, and you can see that Sylvanas already getting down very low on health. This actually was pretty important for us in order to make the DPS check out of P1 before the fourth set of chains, which was something that we failed a couple times trying to make, but with this combination lust AoE burn got pretty easy. So we had the first set of chains come out there, and you just want to make sure that people don't run into those. Then you get the Windrunner here, another Chaotic Essence. This one we're also just insta-activating so that we can cleave it for a little bit before Sylvanas runs away to do the second set of chains. This one we're just hoping to get, 6 stacks, something like that, 9 stacks, something a little bonus here, but it's not really one that we're getting too much value out of. We end up getting 12 stacks off of the Fated buff here. I end up taking a chain from one side, which is totally fine. Do a little bit of damage, and we take this gateway to the side. We want this positioning for where that gets baited to, and then we're taking our arrows over towards where that gateway ended, and these spawn the Dark Sentinels, increasing amounts every time that she does those Wailing Arrows. Here, ideally we'd use a Mass Grip, but I used mine earlier on the Fated ad, so those Sentinels actually getting a little bit close to their targets and taking a little bit longer to kill them would be good. So ideally I'd have saved my Mass Grip for that, actually. But we get them killed off, not too much trouble. And Sylvanas now 86% as we're getting close to the third Veil. We'll kill this Essence as she goes immune and goes to do that Veil, and we'll just we'll do a bit of damage to these motes. And yeah, Sylvanas goes away. All of our ranged players are stacked up over on blue square marker, which we are using to indicate where they should stack there. And then Sylvanas will do her jumps, and she'll end up sort of close to these chains over on the side. Doesn't actually work out perfectly, and you can see it's like, it's kind of 30 yards away, but even still, our damage is good here. We're looking for 84%. Sometime between the next Windrunner cast and the end of the next Veil cast. So it's something like a 15-second range where it's okay for her to hit that 84%. Ideally, she needs to start this Windrunner cast, though, before she gets there, because otherwise we'll push into the intermission with all these Sentinels still out. So now that this Windrunner cast has started, she will finish this cast no matter what. We barely did the right amount of damage. We almost did too much damage here and had her push before this long Windrunner cast of doing all these different little mechanics. Now we get over to this star marker, which is pretty close to where you spawn in the room if you're looking to recreate our world markers. Everybody's getting chained somewhere, and now the goal is to just break these arrows as quickly as we can. We have some big AoE pumpers running to some of the far ones to just try and get rid of them. And yeah, everybody's just taking care of some arrows, getting healed if they can, trying to dodge the rives as well. And you can see whoever is still chained now is taking big ticks. But we've finished off all the chains, and only one death. Now we get to kind of AFK for a little while as we wait for Sylvanas to finish destroying the tower. 7 out of 9. Yeah, this takes a little bit. You know what? I'm going to skip ahead. This is a long boss fight. So yeah, she goes in the middle of the room, does her Banshee Wail, and then we're about to start P2. Now, P2 is actually very different on Mythic. If you haven't done this on this difficulty, if you've only done it on Heroic and Normal and LFR, it's actually a lot faster paced in Mythic because there are 2 bridges instead of 1 each time. So we split our raid up in half. We have, you can see our ERT note just over here that has who's going where on each split kind of planned out. And so we're splitting up into 2 teams. As a Death Knight, mobility is a challenge, so I use Death's Advance here so I won't get knocked by any of the waves, and I'm going to use Goblin Jump as well to speed up, and I'm saving my Soul Shape. And then, yeah, we have a Goliath and a Soul Judge over on this side. On the other side, I think we have a Soul Judge and a Summoner. And this also spawns a Chaotic Essence on our side, and we'll just AoE those with the Goliath and the Soul Judge here. The priority is the Soul Judge on this side. It's the Summoner on the other side. And the Goliath, we should be cleaving a little bit more on this side than we were. The Goliath also should die around the same time. The main thing you want is you want to try and kill evenly between the two sides, and you want to make sure that you don't kill too, especially if you're killing earlier than the other side, you don't want to kill before that wave cast, because that will make her go and do this ruin way quicker. And then we need to land that kick before before the cast finishes. Very close there, as we were kind of a little slow getting out of this phase. Almost had that ruin cast just end us. But now we have another Chaotic Essence. We actually life grip that one under the boss so that the two motes spawn just right there. And we get to do some AoE here. This is also where we use our second pots, because our pots have come back up here. And so we send those and are just trying to nuke the boss and do some AoE here for a little bit. Actually end up getting 16 stacks. Not bad. Not bad for a mid-fight Chaotic Essence. We're just trying to do some free damage here to Sylvanas and avoid getting killed. So now we get to kind of spread along down this chain as the waves and the AoE circles around us are coming out. These circles are much bigger than you'll get on the lower difficulties, so big spread is important here. And I am up in the front because I need to make it to the right platform as quickly as I can. So this side, this will be where I'll use my soul shape, and we're just trying to get through as fast as possible and pick up threat on these mobs. This is a big AoE, big cooldown moment here. We've got the Soul Judge and the Summoner on this side. Now the Summoner makes a set of orbs, one of which needs to be interrupted and all four of which need to be killed. And they do a bunch of damage to the group when they are killed, but the longer they go unkilled, the more damage they'll do to the group. So we kill those off, and you can see not too bad. And we kill the Summoner before the second spawn, which is kind of the important thing there. And then we finish off this Soul Judge. We actually were a little bit too high on damage on this side. It would have been better if we'd had more damage over on the Colossus side instead, where there's just kind of a big single target ad. But not the end of the world. We're able to get over to Sylvanas. The interrupt there, that's not actually us. That's Thrall that goes and interrupts her or something, or Sylvanas. I don't know. There's some RP interrupt that happens there on that cast. And so we don't get to milk it for the full cast time. And now we're just trying to push Sylvanas for as much damage as we can. Again, we have a gateway set up, and we all have our gateway item macroed, so we're just ready, or keybound. We're just ready to use it to escape this Veil of Darkness, making sure that we don't bait it on towards where we're going. And we're just trying to push Sylvanas here. The number you're looking for is 77 point something. That's a number that means you're probably on pace to get the kill in time. It can be a little bit higher than that, and you can still have a chance. And obviously, if it's like much better than this, then you're doing really good on the damage check in P2 in terms of how much damage you can do to the boss. 77.6 though is our percentage as we go into P3 here. Would have been better. We probably could have gotten about another % if we had more evenly balanced our two sides there on the last bit. Here we just want to CC some mobs, stop them from really doing anything as we get teleported. You get one global on Sylvanas here, so make it a good one. And we get to start now in P3, the best phase. Possibly the single best phase of a fight they've made, IMO. This is a really, really good phase on a fight. I don't really like P1 and P2 in this fight, but P3 is super fun. So immediately off the bat, you can see our other tank is going on an adventure to far platforms to go and pick up these puddles that are on the ground. She makes these puddles on all the platforms. Our Demon Hunter is going to the second platform, and our other tank is going to the third and fourth platforms. We're just picking up all these puddles from the future platforms because we need those platforms for later. And then we're getting dispelled off of these. And that dispel, actually, our Demon Hunter thought they got dispelled when I did, gets dispelled in the middle of the room. But a timely mass dispel, you can see there, comes out and saves us from wiping. Because if anybody's holding on to those puddles, then you wipe during that cast, basically. The way it works, you pick up a puddle, it turns into a dot on you, and then when you dispel it, you drop the puddle again. So our whole bit there is we're trying to move as many of the puddles from the future platforms to the first platform so that they can just stay there now that that platform is dead, and we can not have any trouble. So I'm similarly picking up some platforms from the second platform. We're picking up some puddles from the second platform, bringing them back over here. And yeah, now we have the Banshee Scream. During this, like to stack on the other tank. It does a medium amount of damage, but it's not too bad, and the two tanks can survive it together, especially in our melee-heavy group. The option is kind of the two tanks stack on top of each other, or both tanks run away from the boss so that there's more space in melee. Now, this Chaotic Essence, we activate during this Banshee's Fury, medium AoE, is available here. You can see we've got like a Wild Spirits to use on it, but we don't have a huge amount. We do need to get Dispelled as well, the 2 tanks, so that, again, nobody can be holding a stack when the Banshee's Fury finishes, and then our other tank is going to go and pick these ones up. Again, there's more now puddles spawning on all the future platforms as well, which we would like to clean up as much as we can, so that's what I'm going to be looking to do here during this Wailing Arrow cast. So I get a Wailing Arrow on me, and I am going to jump over, and the Wailing Arrow, I want to go off on this platform, but first I want to make sure that I pick up as much of this as possible. So use a little bit of cooldowns. You can see starting to take some damage every time this dot's ticking, but once I'm able to Death Strike the boss, it's going to be fine. So I just got to make sure I do that and be okay until the end of this platform. Now here comes the next Fated Essence of the fight. This one we don't activate, we just leave it because it will teleport to the next platform with you, which I did not know initially when we started this fight. But yeah, so it'll teleport. We get a Mass Dispel right before we leave, so everybody drops off all their stacks, and we have a nice clean platform here on platform 3. We get into the middle of the room, we activate this Chaotic Essence, and this is where we're using our Bloodlust, and we are just nuking down as much of the ads as we can here, along with Sylvanas. And the way it's going to work is because we have Lust, the ads will die quickly, and then we will still have the huge amount of damage buff from those ads with the rest of our Lust. So there you can see we've got a 40 stack here, and for the next 25 seconds, we have both Lust and that damage amp, and we're just doing huge damage to Sylvanas and able to really just blast the boss on this platform. It's a little bit of a different Lust than we did without the Fated Affix, but we think it's pretty good to use the Lust there. Then just keep on killing the boss. The Wailing Arrow set, again, there's not too much going on here if you're not affected by the Wailing Arrow, so that's part of why we think it's a good Lust. You can just kind of blast the boss, and we get another Chaotic Essence. This one we're not going to get all 40 stacks or anything, but we do a little bit of AoE. As a tank here, I'm, again, picking up these puddles from the sides of the room, and we're just going to keep on always bringing them over to the same corner of the room so that people can know, hey, this is the dangerous area of the room. I'm actually delaying my Dispel because I'm a slow Death Knight until the end there, because you see how I got a pool back there? I got one of the stacks back there. You have a little bit of a grace period when you get Dispelled, where you can't actually get the pool back that you just got Dispelled off of you. So if you call the Dispel right at the end of that Banshee's Fury cast, there's no danger of you picking up one of your old puddles again. And since I had so many stacks there, I did that because otherwise I would have to use a movement ability to get out of my own puddles in time before I would have picked one of them back up. So that's something you can always do that as a tank if you want, or you can decide based on how many stacks you have if you need to. Here comes the next one. We get the Mass Dispel. Our Demon Hunter had run over to this platform and cleared all the pools off of it. Unfortunately, died in the process. But worth it. We now have a nice clean platform here, and we just take these arrows to that far side of the platform, and everybody else in the raid is all nice and stacked up on this side. We get to use this Essence now during a Banshee's Fury with not too much else going on. Very few puddles on this platform because we've been preemptively clearing. You can see our other tank had a few of those stacks, but mostly just leaving them down. And now we just get another 21 stack of the Fated Affix. So again, nice big damage amp as we stack up and just burn the boss now down to 0. And we're actually well ahead of the DPS check here. I think largely because of how well the Lust plus 40 stacks both worked at both times in the fight. So yeah, we just keep nuking the boss down here. If you get to this point, you're looking at an overlap that is fairly tricky between the arrows and the death knives. So I actually went to go and clear one of the puddles that would be where those people would be going to the end of that gateway. And the way it's going to work is we're going to have a bunch of people targeted by the arrow, including the tank, the other tank. So I taunt here to keep the boss from moving. The other tank runs over there, gets shot, and then during the arrows, we get some death knives coming out. And these death knives just need to move in such a way that they aren't drawing a line right through the raid, or if they are, then everybody needs to move out of them, and they need to stop moving. The people with the knives need to stop moving so that you don't get hit by them. And then there's just one more Banshee's Fury, and then you Mass Dispel right at the end of that so that anybody who has a stack drops it on the ground. And then the boss casts Raise, and if you haven't killed it by then, you have a couple of seconds, or else it's all over. So that's a quick look at how the Sylvanas fight worked, how the Fated Affix changed it. Pretty fun Fated Affix, actually, to add to Sylvanas. Nice little 311 loot as well. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.